Okay, let's go to Justin Duncan, Southern Ontario. Justin, I'm sorry you had to sit through all of that. How you doing, my man?
Buddy, keep the fun going. I don't mind it at all.
Okay, good. Well, do you think that Nick Saban, just at night, it keeps him up, that he didn't have NFL success and that he might want to, before he hangs it up, go back to the NFL and prove that he can do it there too?
The competitor that Nick Saban is, you would imagine it has to, and especially when it comes down to the decision of signing Dante Culpepper or Drew Brees, which was essentially left up to the doctors. Imagine how different it could have been if they signed Brees while he was in Miami. He'd probably still be there.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think it does keep him up at night. We'll come back on this. So I know how close you and Arash Madani are. You saw Arash's report today. Let's start there on the panel of medical experts and CFL personnel that Randy Ambrosie has convened. What do you know about that in terms of the return to play plan?
Well, it was smart for the CFL to put that committee together. Some people out there that are saying, why can't Randy Ambrosie be a little bit more forthcoming when he holds things such as town halls or, maybe comes on your show and does media appearances across the country, but he leaves it up to the insiders to do it. So Arash Madani had a great report, and it goes along with what I had been hearing in terms of talking to front office executives throughout the CFL with the Hub City concept. Now, there's a lot of people that are saying be too financially difficult to happen, but I really do believe it's the safest way, and that's what Madani's report went into a little further detail about in terms of especially the testing. So the doctors that they have on this committee really makes me think that it's plausible if they can figure out the financial aspect.
Yeah, I apologize for the bump in there, but we got through what you're saying. So the way I read it is, Randy did say on Wednesday, we want to at least know that we've exhausted all opportunities and options if we do have to pull the plug on the season. And this is it. And I would assume that people are volunteering their time on that panel. I'm not sure that they are in the Big Four leagues. But logistically and economically, Arash made it very clear this is going to be very hard to pull off. Would you not agree?
That's right, it is. But I think if you start looking at the books overall in terms of the financials, and if you can peel back a bunch of your expenses in terms of maybe limiting the number of folks that you have to bring out into a hub city, you can use some of that money for the testing and creating a CFL bubble out there in the prairies between Regina and Winnipeg. And I still think Saskatoon is viable in some ways if you had to house a team or two there. So the fact that the COVID cases are so low really makes it a viable option in terms of the health. But it goes back to the financial aspect. Can you cut your costs down, especially without having fans in the stands, enough to where you might not lose your shirt and maybe there's some way to even make a little bit of money? Do you go back to TSN and say, hey, look, we're in a different world now overall in terms of the coronavirus pandemic. They're starving for fresh live content. Can we rework this TV deal where we maybe get some more money to be able to get through 2020 and put games on?
And you know what? I'm just kind of free-flowing with our conversation here right now. As you talk, things pop into my head. And so everybody will need to work together in the CFL, and I hope that they do. And that includes players potentially playing for less money. You see Farhan's report on that there is going to be less money to go around. You would assume that they would. We hear the NHL and its Players Association are working better than any other league in coming together to get back on the ice. Then you got Blake Snell saying, if I don't get my $10 million in Tampa Bay with the Rays this year, I'm not playing. So where are you on the CFL players agreeing to play when the plan is put forth to them?
Well, it depends on the dollars and cents. And I think the players really do understand that there's going to have to be some concessions in terms of the salary that they're giving. There's a number of players out there that already would have received their full signing bonus. I mean, Darrell Walker, he's probably sitting there thinking, I probably could have got $100,000 if I would have signed him free agency. Still continues to be a free agent. But for the betterment of the league overall in the future, I really get the sense that there would be, a number of players out there, and it's going to be split certainly across the board. You got to try to find some sort of consensus that might be willing to take a little less if it means getting the season or some semblance of the season in. Now, in the bigger picture, they need to make sure that the CFL's giving them a fair cut of whatever the 2020 campaign potentially looks like.
Well, that's a big if. I mean, so that, and then it's back in the owner's hands. Like, I guess the big question is, do you see everybody legitimately working together to make this happen?
I do, but we're really going to find out here what the CFL is made of overall, because, Ambrosie talks about it all the time, how he gets up thinking about the players, and it's a euphemism that he likes to use when he talks to them. But then you have a couple of weeks during the pandemic where he wouldn't even pick up their phone call, wouldn't acknowledge essentially their existence. So we're going to really see if the proof is in the pudding here, and if some of the people that are involved in this, the major players, Ambrosie being top among them, actually back up their talk, pull together, work together, play on Team Canada, as Ambrosie has liked to said, and find some way, in the safest way, to play a bit of a season.
Who would have thought the slogan that came out in the Jeffrey Orridge regime, "What we're made of," would mean so much now? It's what you're saying.
Exactly, buddy. I feel you 100%.
What else do you have?
So you mentioned the Marcel Belfait hiring at the University of Ottawa. That was something that had been rumored for a while. And in terms of compensation, I wanted to jump in with you there that the GGs want to get back to a place where they're competitive year in and year out, not just for Yates Cups, which is the Ontario University Championship, but Vanier Cups. And that's what Belfait won there in 2000 with the GGs. So he's going to be paid among the top 5 head coaches in the OUA and potentially even U Sports, which is north of $100,000. He was scheduled to be the offensive line coach in Montreal, and that would have definitely netted him an overall pay of less than $100,000. So it's a pay bump up for Belfait and a chance for him to get back in that head coach chair in Canada.
Absolutely. It makes total sense. And those U Sports jobs pay a lot. They pay what they're worth, by the way, because there's a lot of stress that goes along with those positions, too. And one more for you on Deon Lacey signing with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It kind of seemed like it came out of the blue. What do you know about that deal?
Well, let me tell you this, that, I've been hearing for a while about the connection with the assistant GM, Paul Jones, and the pipeline of players that they've brought up. And if you look at it throughout the offseason, there's been a lot of former NFLers that have signed there in Saskatchewan. And Deon Lacey was a guy that Jones, even though he's really quiet about it, had found in Edmonton, and then now gets him to come to Saskatchewan. So from what I've been told, Lacey, first and foremost, a special teams demon. Craig Dickinson will absolutely love that. And then he gives you the flexibility of having a proven veteran starter in terms of being in the CFL at either weak side linebacker or middle linebacker. In an emergency, he could play strong side linebacker for you, but that's probably not the ideal position for him. And the Riders, too, believe that they can use him in some versatile, sort of intriguing pass rushing situation. So a guy that's going to be on the field a lot for the Riders in a number of different spots. And it really seems like the Riders are loading up with veterans who won't need that long runway of a normal training camp if indeed there is a 2020 season.
Wow. Oh, I could go on all day. I could go on all day on that. But and for sure, Lacey's a baller. The one thing you do hear is that trainers are, and it was in Arash's report, trainers are worried about injuries to the players with a shortened training camp. And I don't know if that swings towards the younger or the older, but we sit here and wait until there actually is a training camp. Justin, I'm getting all my news from 3 Down, so please keep it up. And I encourage all of the nation to do the same. And we'll chat next week.
Appreciate you, man. Just want to throw in one more thing. We're actually working on our early 2021 rankings of Canadian prospects. Some studs at the top of the class, both NCAA and U Sports, so keep it locked to 3 Down for those.
All right, sounds good. And by the way, your Heroes lost last night 9-7 to the Giants. I'm not sure if you were checking that at all in Korean baseball.
I was hoping that you weren't going to mention it, Roddy. Thanks for rubbing it in.
Yeah, you bet. You'll owe somebody lunch on that one. All right, have a good weekend, Justin.
Deal. See you guys. Be well.
There he is, Canada's Adam Schefter, Justin Dunk, joining us from Southern Ontario from 3downnation.com. And I'm not joking. That's where I'm getting all of my news CFL-wise right now.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.